Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be this guy. Not this fast. Not yet. Fifth-rounders don't get multi-team bidding wars before they've taken a regular season snap. Fifth-rounders don't cause executives to pace their war rooms during preseason tape review. Fifth-rounders don't headline ESPN debates and fan-made hype videos before playing a single quarter in the NFL. But Shedeur? He's rewriting the script. And Cleveland? They're clutching that script like it's the final draft of their redemption story.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
You can almost hear it in Berea. We're not the old Browns. We're not the impulsive Browns. We're not the punchline anymore. Maybe not. But the pressure's building. And patience? It has a shelf life. Let's talk numbers, because behind every emotional story in the NFL, there's cold hard math. Miami's last offer? Reportedly included a first, a third, and a starting guard. The Rams? Offered 2 seconds and a conditional first based on playing time. The Colts? Gave a call so aggressive it spooked their own fan base, floating a top 15 protected pick and a veteran QB insurance policy. The Browns politely declined. Even the Bengals, division rivals mind you, sent an exploratory text. The Bengals? You don't ask for your enemy's quarterback unless you're truly desperate. So what does Cleveland know that the rest of the league doesn't? Or better yet, what are they afraid of? Because there's a version of this story where they look brilliant. Where Shedeur waits, grows, learns, and eventually steps into the role like a seasoned vet. They ease him in behind Flacco and one day, bam, he's leading the Browns to the playoffs and silencing all the doubters. But there's another version too. One where Flacco flames out by week 6. One where the locker room fractures. Where the fans revolt. Where Sanders either doesn't get developed properly or worse, gets traded anyway after Cleveland sat on him too long and squeezed out the momentum. There's no middle ground here. No safe, conservative outcome. Cleveland is betting everything. And look, it's not just about on-field performance. It never is anymore. In 2025, franchise quarterbacks are brands. They're CEOs and Pats. They're public relations dynamos. They're the culture setters and jersey sellers. They are the face of your team and the voice of your rebuild. And Shedeur? He's already that guy. He's leading youth camps. Donating time and money to Cleveland public schools. Showing up to Cavs games. Posting workout clips with the caption, "Stay ready." Smiling through every interview like the cameras are his comfort zone. You know how rare that is? You know how much that matters? When you're Cleveland, a city starved for a leader, for a symbol, for anything that looks like progress, you don't trade that. You build around it. But again, what if that patience is misplaced? The NFL doesn't wait for fairy tales. It's a business, and that business is built on wins. So here's where things get real. The Browns open 2-3. The offense looks stale. Flacco's throwing more to tight ends than wideouts, because he doesn't trust his protection or his deep ball. The stadium energy is flat. The boos aren't hostile, they're just tired. And every single fan knows what's coming. A press conference. A question. And eventually, someone in that room will ask Kevin Stefanski the thing we've all been screaming at our TVs for weeks. When is Shedeur going to play? And in that moment, the bluff is over. No more hiding behind veteran development timelines. No more, we're doing what's best for the team. No more, he's still learning the system. Because let's be real, when every other team in the league is calling to give you a starting spot and the Browns won't even give you a series, that's not development. That's delay. And delay leads to doubt. And doubt? That's poison in an NFL locker room. Now imagine Shedeur does get the start. It's week 7. Prime time. National audience. The lights are bright. The pressure's insane. But this kid? He's not blinking. He commands the huddle. He throws a dime on his second snap. By the second quarter, he's hit 3 different receivers and taken 2 hits in the pocket without flinching. The team feels different. The fans sound different. Suddenly, this franchise isn't just trying to survive the AFC North. It's dangerous. And if that version of Shedeur exists, and by all accounts it does, then the Browns have made the right choice. They played the long game. They resisted the offers. They waited until the moment was theirs. But man, what a tightrope. Because if he's not ready, if he freezes, or falters, or throws 3 picks in 2 quarters, the media will torch the coaching staff. The fans will revolt. The trade offers will vanish like that. This is the NFL. You don't get infinite chances. You get one debut. That's why Cleveland has been so cautious. Because once Shedeur's on the field, there's no putting him back in the bottle. You either unleash a phenom, or you watch a PR miracle turn into a meltdown. And maybe that's the core fear here. They're scared of being wrong. Because it's not just about being right. It's about what happens if they're not. What if they pass on a first-round pick and Shedeur doesn't pan out? What if they tell the world he's untouchable, only for him to go 2-6 as a starter and look average? This is the Browns we're talking about. This city has trauma. This front office has battle scars. Every bad pick, every wasted talent, every next big thing that fizzled, it haunts them. But that's the thing about building something real. At some point you have to stop being scared. You have to believe. And right now that belief is Shedeur Sanders. Not just because of what he did in college. Not just because of what he might become. But because of what he represents. He is Cleveland's clean slate. Their chance to rewrite a legacy. Their opportunity to say once and for all, we're done playing scared. So here's the final play. Either unleash Shedeur and build something that lasts. Or watch someone else do it. Because teams aren't going to stop asking. They're not going to stop offering. And eventually Sanders himself might stop waiting. And if that happens, Cleveland won't just lose a quarterback. They'll lose the only real momentum they've had in years. Now it's your turn. Is Cleveland doing the right thing by holding the line? Are they playing it smart, or playing with fire? Would you take the trade package? Or double down and let Shedeur prove it on the field? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more NFL drama, front office chess matches, and quarterback controversies that keep us up at night. Because this saga is just getting started. Every day Shedeur's name trends, the pressure on Cleveland's front office ratchets up another level. And yet, they still won't budge. And that tells us one thing. They know exactly what they're sitting on. They just don't know if they're brave enough to use it. Now, let's not get it twisted. Cleveland's reluctance isn't incompetence. This isn't about being clueless. This is about fear. Not just fear of failure, but fear of expectation. Because the moment Shedeur steps onto that field, he stops being a future piece. He becomes the guy. Not next season. Not after a year of development. No. And you know what that means? It means there's no more hiding behind the rebuild narrative. No more pointing to the draft board or patiently waiting for 2026. No more slow cook. When you play Shedeur, you're starting the timer. Either he turns into a superstar and saves your franchise, or he doesn't. That's the risk. But guess what? The Browns have been too safe for too long. You don't break a curse by playing it safe. You don't go from punchline to powerhouse by sitting on your assets. You take the risk. You light the fuse. You let the stadium roar. And right now, that stadium is begging for ignition. Every time Joe Flacco trots onto the field, you can feel it in the crowd. Not hate. Not even frustration. Just that simmering, exhausted energy of people who are tired of waiting for something new. It's not about hating the current QB. It's about knowing there's something better sitting on the bench. And that's what makes this situation so wild. Because for all the outside pressure, trade offers, media takes, fans losing their minds, it all comes down to one internal question. Do the Browns trust themselves? Do they believe in their own scouting? Their own coaching? Their own vision? They picked Shedeur. They've kept him. They've praised his maturity, his leadership, his potential. They built this guy up. So what are they waiting for? Are they afraid he's not ready? Or are they afraid he is? Because that second possibility, that's the one that really keeps you up at night. Because if he steps on that field and delivers, if Shedeur becomes everything you've been hyping him up to be, then this team can't just talk about changing its identity. They have to actually do it. They have to win. And that's a whole different kind of pressure. Think about what this moment means for Cleveland as a city. This isn't just about football. This is about transformation. Cleveland has been stuck in football purgatory for decades. Flashes of greatness, followed by years of disappointment. Quarterbacks have come and gone like seasons. Hope has been sold, resold, discounted, and discarded. But Shedeur? He's different. Not just because of the talent, but because of the timing. He arrived when the city needed a symbol. Someone who wasn't jaded. Someone who didn't carry the baggage of failed rebuilds and cursed stadium seats. Someone who could bring swagger and optimism and momentum, all without a shred of arrogance. He's that rare blend of charisma and humility, of confidence and composure, of TikTok cool and old school toughness. And that makes him dangerous. Because if you wait too long, the magic fades. Fans lose interest. Teams stop calling. The next big thing becomes just another guy with unfulfilled potential. We've seen it happen so many times. But right now, Shedeur's light is still shining bright. And the league knows it. That's why these trade offers are so aggressive. That's why teams are willing to overpay. They don't just want a project. They want a momentum swing. A face of the franchise type. A quarterback they can sell to their fans as the answer. And they think Cleveland doesn't fully appreciate what they have. But maybe that's not fair. Maybe Cleveland does get it. Maybe they're not underestimating Shedeur at all. Maybe they're just trying to protect him. Think about it. The Browns know how brutal the media cycle can be. They've seen young QBs thrown into the fire too soon. They've watched prospects get eaten alive by bad schemes, bad timing, and even worse protection. So maybe, just maybe, this is about more than control. Maybe it's about care. But at what point does protecting become stalling? At what point does letting him develop become wasting his window? Because eventually, patience stops looking like wisdom and starts looking like fear. And if you're going to be afraid of your own future, why draft it in the first place? Let's call it like it is. Cleveland can't keep sitting on Shedeur like he's a secret weapon in a video game, waiting for the perfect boss fight to deploy him. This is the boss fight. The league is tougher than ever. The division is stacked. The fans are on edge. If there was ever a moment to try something bold, to shock the system, this is it. And if not now, when? Because let's be honest. If Shedeur was on literally any other team, Miami, LA, Indy, even New England, he'd be starting already. He'd be leading highlight reels. He'd have endorsement deals piling up. He'd be the story. But instead, he's stuck in neutral. And Cleveland's stuck with the burden of potential. They can see what's possible. The rest of the league sees it too. But that vision is only as good as your courage to act on it. So now it's down to one simple decision. Do you ride this out and own the gamble? Or do you cash in and pray he doesn't torch your defense from the other sideline? Because let me paint that nightmare scenario one more time. Imagine Shedeur in Dolphins teal. He's throwing bombs to Tyreek. He's getting coached by Mike McDaniel, a man who knows how to unlock chaos and speed. He's smiling on the sideline. He's a star. And Cleveland? Watching from the couch. Watching fans in other cities wear Sanders jerseys. Watching their front office get roasted in 30-second TikTok breakdowns of the dumbest trades of the decade. That's the risk. But the reward? Is legacy. If the Browns keep Shedeur, start him, and win, they become the team that believed. They become the franchise that finally trusted its gut, rolled the dice, and pulled itself out of the mud. They become Cleveland reborn. Shedeur Sanders has become more than just a rookie quarterback with potential. He's turned into a symbol. A symbol of patience, of risk, of cultural change, of a franchise that's trying to climb out of its own grave. And the Browns? They're standing guard over him like knights around a crown jewel. Everyone else is clawing at the gates, begging for a piece, waving offers like golden tickets. But Cleveland won't hand him over. They can't. They won't. They know what it means if they do. Because think about this. For decades, the Browns have been the running joke of the NFL. The quarterback graveyard. The team where careers go to die. They've been through more quarterbacks than some franchises have gone through uniforms. Names lost to the wind. Talent squandered. Seasons wasted. Coaches fired. Fans tortured. And now, finally, they've got a player who isn't just talented but beloved. Who isn't just athletic but charismatic. Who doesn't just show up but actually embodies the hope Cleveland has been starving for. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another quarterback. He's a line in the sand. He's a before and after moment waiting to happen. And that's why they're saying no. No to Miami. No to Cincinnati. No to the Rams and Colts. No to the trade offers that would make most general managers sell their own homes. Because the Browns aren't just protecting Shedeur's arm, they're protecting their identity. They're protecting the possibility that, for once, their future doesn't look like their past. But here's the problem. Protecting the future means delaying the present. And in the NFL, the present doesn't wait. The clock doesn't stop. Fans don't stay patient. The trade deadline doesn't freeze while you figure things out. Every week Shedeur sits, that pressure builds. Every game Joe Flacco starts, the questions get louder. Every time another team's quarterback goes down with injury, another phone call comes in, and the offers get richer. And still, Cleveland says no. It's almost defiant now. Almost stubborn. Almost prideful. The fan base feels it. They see the same clips on social media, the same practice throws, the same whispers about how polished Shedeur looks in scrimmages. They know this isn't some raw project. This is a player who already carries himself like a franchise guy. So why wait? Why hold him back? Why chain him to a clipboard while other teams drool over his potential? The only answer Cleveland gives is patience. Development. The long game. They're terrified of breaking him before he's ready, so instead they're trying to bubble wrap him in case of failure. But here's the risk no one's talking about. What if in protecting him they lose him? Because let's be real, Shedeur may be quiet, he may be professional, he may be patient. But he's not blind. He sees the other teams begging for him. He sees the fans chanting his name. He sees the memes, the trade rumors, the edits of him in different jerseys. And he sees that Cleveland, the team that drafted him, is letting him wait while everyone else wants to play him now. At some point, patience starts to feel like disrespect. At some point, development starts to feel like doubt. And once that seed gets planted in a quarterback's mind, it doesn't just go away. It grows. It festers. It turns into resentment. And resentment leads to exits. The Browns may think they're holding on to Shedeur to protect their future, but if he feels like they don't believe in him, what's stopping him from asking out? What's stopping his agent from making calls in the offseason? What's stopping his father, Deion Sanders, from stepping in and saying, "My son deserves better than this"? That's the unspoken bomb ticking under the surface. That's the nightmare scenario Cleveland doesn't want to imagine but absolutely needs to prepare for. Because make no mistake, Shedeur isn't just a good player, he's a magnet. He pulls people in. Fans love him. Teammates respect him. Media outlets orbit around him. He brings gravity. That's why teams are so desperate. They don't just want the stats, they want the presence. And Cleveland has that. For now. But keeping him means eventually proving you actually trust him. And trust, in the NFL, doesn't mean stashing someone on the bench until their second contract. It means letting them play. Letting them grow. Letting them lead. Every quarterback who's become a superstar in the last decade got thrown into the fire. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Yes, Mahomes sat a year, but the Chiefs still handed him the keys as soon as the season flipped. These players became who they are not because their teams protected them forever but because their teams trusted them when it mattered. So the Browns face a choice. They can keep saying no, keep holding Shedeur back, keep stockpiling hope without showing results. Or they can finally rip the bandage off and start him. Take the risk. Give the fans what they're begging for. Give the league a reason to stop calling. Prove to Shedeur that they actually believe in him, not just in theory but in action. But if they don't? If they keep stalling while other teams throw open arms at him? They risk becoming the team that wasted a generational opportunity. The team that drafted hope, held it too tightly and watched it slip away. And if Shedeur walks and becomes a star elsewhere? Cleveland won't just lose a quarterback. They'll lose their last chance at redemption. They'll go back to being the same old Browns, the team that always fumbled greatness right when it was in their hands. And that's why this situation is so electric. Because it's not just about football. It's about identity. About culture. About whether Cleveland can finally stop being scared of itself. The easy move would be to take the trade. Collect the picks. Reset the clock. Sell the fanbase on building for the future, yet again. But that's what they've always done. That's why the fanbase is so exhausted. They've heard the rebuild pitch 1,000 times and they're done buying it. The bold move, the scary move, the risky move, the one that could actually change the franchise, is to trust Shedeur Sanders. Not next year. Not in some perfect, safe, sanitized moment. But now. In the mess. In the chaos. In the heat of a season that's testing everyone's patience. That's how legends are made. That's how curses get broken. And maybe that's why Cleveland is saying no to every offer. Maybe deep down they know they don't need more picks or more assets or more excuses. They just need one thing. One quarterback. One player who can carry not just the ball, but the burden of an entire city. And whether they're ready to admit it or not, Shedeur Sanders might be that guy. So here we are. The Browns are standing at the crossroads. On one path, another trade, another rebuild, another wasted chapter. On the other, risk, pressure, chaos, and maybe greatness. Only time will tell which road they take. But one thing is certain. The NFL isn't waiting. The offers will keep coming. The fans will keep chanting. The media will keep pressing. And Shedeur Sanders? He's not going to stay quiet forever. So Cleveland has a choice to make. Are they going to keep clinging to hope like it's fragile glass? Or are they finally going to trust the kid, break the glass, and let the light shine through? The whole league is watching. The fans are holding their breath. And the Browns? They're one decision away from rewriting their story, or repeating it all over again. Patience. It's a tricky beast. Because fans don't buy tickets to watch patience. They buy tickets to watch moments. The kind of moments Shedeur Sanders can give them. The kind of moments that make the stadium erupt and shake so hard you'd swear the ghosts of every failed Browns season are being exorcised in real time. But instead, they're watching Joe Flacco throw 7-yard checkdowns like it's 2010 all over again, while the kid with rocket potential is left holding a clipboard. Meanwhile, the league is circling like vultures. Every headline, every podcast, every segment on sports talk radio is another version of the same question. What will it take for Cleveland to give in? And the Browns? They keep sitting at the poker table, stone-faced, refusing to show their hand. That alone tells you how much they believe in Shedeur. Because no franchise turns down a first-round pick, especially Cleveland, a team that has lived and died by draft capital, unless they think they're holding something priceless. But priceless doesn't mean permanent. Shedeur isn't a piece of property. He's a man. He's a competitor. And he's watching all of this play out in silence. And silence, in moments like this, is louder than any words. He hasn't demanded a trade. He hasn't sulked in press conferences. He hasn't thrown shade. But deep down, you know he's wondering, why not me? Why not now? The Browns are on a timer they don't control. If Shedeur waits too long, that silence could break. And once it does, Cleveland loses the upper hand. Because this isn't just about who he plays for, it's about when he plays. And if the Browns are too afraid to let him shine, he'll find someone who isn't. That's the cruel paradox here. They're holding on to him to secure the future, but holding on to him too tightly might cost them the very future they're protecting. The offers won't stop. The pressure won't stop. The clock won't stop. And eventually, the Browns will have to answer the only question that matters. Do you believe in Shedeur Sanders enough to trust him today? Because the future isn't next year. It isn't 2026. It's standing right there on the sideline, helmet on, waiting for someone to finally say, "Get in the game." Now I want to hear it from you. Are the Browns brave or are they blind? Should they keep defying the NFL and hold on to Shedeur, or set him free and risk watching him turn into a superstar in someone else's colors? Comment your take and don't forget to subscribe, because this saga is just heating up.